As I walk our dog Finn around the neighborhood, there's all kinds of evidence that Christmas is still alive and well, even though we're already a week into the new year. And every time Christmas passes, you start thinking about past Christmases. And for me and for many of us who are adults, we're thinking about Christmases of our childhood. There's a number of them that stand out in my own mind, one of which was the first Christmas after our parents were divorced. I had an older brother, George, who was 12 at the time, and I was 6 years old. And I remember that first Christmas that Dad gave George a book on astronomy, and in the book he wrote, "Happiness depends on what you have in your heads, not what you have in your pockets." Another memorable Christmas was the first time my dad and stepmother Marlene and two siblings came to Wyoming from New Mexico to visit us. It was significant because it was the first Christmas that I would spend with Dad and Marlene and my siblings as an adult with a family of my own. I had 3 children at the time. Jennifer was 7 years old, and Joey was 4 years old, and Jason was just a toddler. It was a Christmas we were really looking forward to, especially because it was going to be an opportunity to share it with family that we loved so much. I remember we bought Joey a little scooter bike, the one with no pedals, the little butterfly handlebars and the little banana seat, just kind of a miniature version of what I had when I was growing up. And then there was a little tool set that had a plastic hammer and plastic wrench and screwdriver for the little plastic bolts and nails that you would pound into the workbench. And of course there were stockings full of all kinds of trinkets and enough candy to give them cavities for a lifetime. But I remember in particular that Christmas morning after we'd opened the gifts and you could smell Christmas dinner in the oven, that my dad was a bit mesmerized, and I guess you could say he was maybe even a little bit troubled. You see, my dad grew up very, very poor. And I didn't anticipate the impact of what he had experienced that morning with all kinds of presents and paper laying all over the room. And about 2 hours into the Christmas morning, he got my attention and he said, "Come here, Ron," without actually saying it. I went over to where he was standing in the living room and he pointed down at a little scooter bike that had nobody sitting on it. And then he walked over to a tool set that had screwdrivers and nuts and bolts laying on the carpet, but nobody there to play with it. And then he motioned me towards the family room. And in the family room, he pointed over towards a credenza where we had a stereo set on it. And there was a turntable, and the turntable was turning round and round and round. And there was Joey, staring down at the record going around, mesmerized as if hypnotized by the motion. Without saying anything, Dad had said so much. As I was thinking about Christmases past and yet another new year, I was drawn to what the apostle wrote in the final book of the Bible, the book of Revelation. And here's what he writes. "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away.' And he who was seated on the throne said, 'Behold, I am making all things new.' Also he said, 'Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and they are true. It's the beginning of a new year, and within a few weeks or months for sure, all of the things that we receive this Christmas will begin to fade away, perhaps even break, not be used anymore. But in the midst of whatever 2025 has to bring us, we can count on this, that there is a new heaven and a new earth that is coming that will never fade away.